What's up, everybody? This is Don Ward with Third Creative, and I wanted to revisit an old design, Wichita Christian. I put this out about a year ago, and usually I try to put out a video with it just to walk through, kind of explaining how everything's set up, how to change colors, etc. Didn't do that. I got an email from somebody asking for some help. So I decided let's just go ahead and make that video, put it out there for everyone in case anybody needs it, if it can help you out. So we're just going to go through real quick, show you how everything's set up, go over the different options of customizing it, changing colors, and hopefully answer any questions that you might have about it. So let's go ahead and get started. Right here at the bottom we've got background. Let's see here. Got a background folder. So the very back we've got a solid black layer. We obviously want to leave that on. And this is our texture right here. So if you look behind this top layer, we've got this texture. Turn it off. You just see that black. But let's say that we want to make this a red template. We'll pick red. For starting at the very back, we've got this color overlay adjustment layer. If we double click here on this little box, we'll get our window pulled up. Pretty simple so far, but go up here into our reds, and I'm not going to be too picky. I'll just try to keep this short. If you find a color that works, hit OK, and we'll keep moving. Next layer, we've got player glow. You can turn that on or off. I like it on. You don't have to do anything with it. There's no color change or anything there. It's set to overlay, so it's just going to blend with the background color that you choose. This next layer here in red, this is a logo that is for this particular team, and I left it in there. Probably want to turn it off and maybe replace it or just leave it off. But the next thing we have is these columns here. So you've got the right hand column, you've got the left hand column, and you have some options there. So if we look at that, we've got a stroke and we've got a gradient overlay. So obviously the stroke is this outline here, this lighter blue, and the gradient overlay is what fills this color. So let's go ahead and double click on gradient overlay. It'll bring up your layer style panel, and it's set to gradient. And a lot of you are probably familiar with gradients. Some of you may have not used them much or at all. So just in case, I'll walk you through it. We'll double click right here in this gradient box. I guess single click. And I've got a bunch of gradients saved that I've used before, but we'll just go ahead and start from scratch because a lot of you probably won't have something in there already to use. So you see I've got it set up with a pretty dark blue and then a really dark blue, almost black. And so we want to switch this to red. So if we click on this little box here, and we click on the color box down here, we'll be able to change the color that starts towards the top. And so we want to slide this up towards the red. And we can just leave it there for the time being. We want to keep it pretty dark. You can experiment with it. It's very subtle. You can barely see it. But we're just going to slide everything up to red. So that's pretty dark. It's in there. But where you'll get the most notable change is when you change the stroke outline. So I could have stayed in that window and just jumped over to the stroke, but I'll come all the way out. We'll just double click on the stroke here. Brings up the window, and I've got the stroke set to a gradient as well. I use a lot of gradients. You can use a solid color. Click this little drop down fly out window and go with a solid color. Gradient just looks better. It transitions from a darker color to a lighter color. So we'll click on, open it up, click on this square, come down to color. We're going to slide it all the way up to red. Hit OK. and then we'll click on the right side. Now we'll slide this all the way up to red. And you can see over here what it's doing now. You can play with it. You want a little more bold, a little extra saturation. I think we'll go with that. I'm going to hit OK. Just flying through this. Might take a little more time if I were doing this for a final piece. But that's how you control the colors for these side columns. This next layer is darken. It's just something I painted in. You can turn it off and see it kind of lightens it up. I liked it to be a little dark right there to fade out. So leave it on, turn it off. It's your choice. We've got player glow again, and that's pretty much it for the background. So this one, pretty simple. It's just set to white. It's the name on top. So it's got a gradient overlay down here, but it's turned off. If you turn it on, you can do the same thing. You can have a color gradient in the name. But if you don't want that, you just leave it, turn it off. It'll be a solid color. I have it set to white. Obviously, if you double click here, you'll get this color box up here where you can change it. I keep my character panel up right here, so I can just go right here. Several ways to get to it. See, the next we have the floor, and you want to control the color of the floor as well, and it's pretty simple. You just have the floor layer. You have this color overlay. Click on that, and we will get up here to red. And now it's hard to tell. If I scroll in, zoom in, you can see we've got more of a red color there. All right, moving right along. Top individual, we don't really need to do much with that. Obviously, you put your individual in there, and I've got it set to an outer glow, which you can turn off if you don't want it. See what that looks like. You can turn it on, and you can fine tune it if you want to double click on it and adjust the opacity or the size. Again, optional. We've got a folder for our team images. So obviously you put your team in here, put your reflections in there. And the last folder is text middle. So it's referring to all of this text here. And this is where majority of your customizing will be done. So let's open it up. And let's just scroll down here to the bottom. So this layer is turned off. If you look, you can see through to the background. If you want this entire area to be filled up where you can't see through, you would turn that on. And there's a texture in there. But if you want to control the color, you can turn this on and pick a color that looks good. Obviously, we're going with red. You can make it lighter, you can make it darker, less saturated, which doesn't look good, more saturated, which I think does. So that's an option that you have. Again, this is off. You can turn it on. This is obviously your team name here, and we've got a stroke set up, and if you double click there, you can change the color of the stroke outline. And let's see, we've got a texture clip to it, which you can turn on and off. I like that texture, and this is where you'll control the color for the team name. So we're going to go again with red. I think I want something a little more saturated. Alright. Next we have lines. So it's basically these lines in this area back here. You can turn them off if you don't want them. You can control color here. Color flares. These are important because right now they're set to blue. So if you look at these flares, they add a lot to the image. You'll want to adjust them. So we'll just start with a very top one. Double click hue saturation. And I can go ahead and turn the saturation up just for a minute. Obviously we're working with this one, but it'll help me see what the color looks like. I want to slide it until we get a good red color that we're looking for. It's a little too orange. It's a little too pink. Maybe right in there. Now I want to bring that saturation back down a little bit. Yeah, somewhere in there. And we can repeat that process with the rest of them. So that's down here on the right. Looking a little purple. We want to get that more red. Right. And let's see, we've got our third one here. Let's do that one real quick. Might be a good time to mention this. The colors don't necessarily always match up. For example, if I set this to blue, it may not. Well, I've got the saturation down on that one. Let's turn it up. Okay, so we're right here. It's fairly close. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't always line up with the color that you see on this prism slider, so you just got to play with it sometimes to get it where you think it looks good. Alright, so maybe a little bit more red. Again, I'm kind of flying through this, maybe a little faster than I would ordinarily. And this is that big one in the middle. So let's go ahead and double click that one. Get it red. It's a little orange, red, a little extra saturation. Bring it down. Somewhere in there. Alright, so we'll hit OK. There we go. Again, we're kind of flying through this, but it's pretty much coming together. Go ahead and collapse that folder. We've got volleyball club here, so obviously this is the text here. It's set to white. You can add a gradient. You can change the color coming here, or if you highlight the text, you can come up here. Same thing with this text layer, which is above the team name, in this case Wichita. Let's see, next, class and year. We'll open that up. So I've got it set 2018. I went ahead and built in freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. But they're just solid colors. So same thing. In your character panel, you can use this, or you can double click to highlight and come up here. So let's go ahead and make that red. It's a little dark. We need it to show up. Oh, we gotta turn it on. That's why it's dark. Let's go back down here, somewhere in here. Yeah. All right. And so now we've changed everything from blue over to red. Did it pretty quickly, but hopefully that kind of explains how everything works and how you customize the colors. And as always, if you guys have any questions or need any help, shoot me an email, don@thirdcreative.net. You can go to the website, thirdcreative.net, and use the contact feature. That's all I got. Hope this helps you guys out, and stay tuned. I've got some new stuff coming your way. Till next time.